moving from a franchised, independently owned dealership world to an agency world to a direct world. That for me is the path. That would be the path for a current OEM. But they're going to be it's going to be disrupted. It's going to be disrupted by the direct, like Tesla's. Car retail process.
Yeah, how has it changed how people buy cars?
So I can tell you what's not going to exist in the future, I don't think. And hopefully I'm not Nostradamus. I don't have a crystal ball, but one thing I know is that because this is a big asset. Okay? So there's two things at play here. One, it's a big asset. It's the second most expensive asset. So in the world where that is one of the data points that tell me the car dealer is going nowhere, the other data point that tells me the car dealer is going nowhere is the complexity of the deal. The complexity of the deal and the various moving parts make it very unlikely that the car dealer will go anywhere anytime soon. The majority, so I think the stat is over 70% of South African consumers are over-leveraged.
Yeah, which is a problem.
So in that over-leveraged economy, most people are going to buy cars on debt.
Yeah, I think of it that way. It's an interesting way to look at it.
And then there's further complexity inside the deal. And that is the rapid depreciation and creative ways in which our banks get people into debt.
That's how they make money.
Yes, no, fair enough. And I'm not knocking their business model, but the creative ways, and like balloon payments, okay, cause the car to depreciate faster than the debt comes down.
Yeah.
Which means that the consumer is always in the red when it comes to the car, by and large. So now you've got a situation where you are reliant on the dealer to get you out of a negative situation.
Which means that he gets into another new car.
Gets onto another car at a dealership. He can't go and sell his car here and buy another one there. He has to do the deal most of the time in the same place because of this thing called over allowance. So I'm sure you're familiar with over allowances, being if you're from VW. So the over allowance is, okay, I'll push the price of the car you're buying up, and I'll give you a higher trade-in to cover the debt that you owe to the bank. So the complexity in that deal
locks the consumer with the dealer.
Locks the consumer and the dealer into fulfillment. And for me, that means it's a long time before the dealer's going anywhere.
Interesting. Very interesting. I didn't think of it that way. Now that you explained it, makes sense. It does make sense. And the point that they are overgeared, so which means that they can only buy a car using financing. So
by and large, yes. So dealers don't like selling cars cash. Why? Because they don't get the commission from the bank. And they're a business. You can't knock them for that. So therefore the banks are now locked into the dealer. Because the bank's source of revenue is the dealership's source of revenue is the bank and the consumer. So there's this whole complexity of the dealer ain't going anywhere. I don't care what any OEM says.
So this cycle that you cannot break, and it's the chain link.
And the thing is, that complexity, the OEM doesn't know how to solve.
Yeah, because we are happy if a dealer takes the car and buys it, it's off our books, and then how it gets to the customer. And then that's the dealer and the customer.
For 100 years, OEMs have been doing business this way. I don't see them changing in 20. The only OEM in the world that has got this right is Tesla.
And the question is, how many cars are they selling?
More than anyone else in the electric car world. So
because they're only strong brand in that space.
Yeah.
I think it's something similar, but not to be as successful as Tesla, I'm not too sure yet.
Don't know.
Still far away from it.
I think it's years away. I think it's possible, but it's years away. It's definitely possible. I think moving from a franchised, independently owned dealership world to an agency world to a direct world. That for me is the path. That would be the path for a current OEM. But they're going to be it's going to be disrupted. It's going to be disrupted by the direct, like Teslas. Teslas are going to disrupt
also,
it.
as OEMs, you don't want to carry that risk.
Yes.
If a customer defaults, who carries the risk?
Bank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we don't want them to be carrying that. And the last two questions, we touched on again, or around the car sales exec. How has the internet influenced their role in how people buy cars?
So this is an interesting question, because at the moment, salespeople inside a dealership perform the role of deal making. So that's what I'm calling it, deal making. The salesperson is actually employed, or should be actually employed in the future, to be a product specialist. So right now, the salesperson's not a product specialist, because they're trying to sell the deal rather than sell the car, if that makes any sense. They're trying to solve that complexity that we spoke about just now. That is where they're spending the majority of their time. So how does the dealership of the future change? As we move more and more of that process of buying a car online. So when finance moves online, we call it automotive digital retailing. So when automotive digital retailing begins to take effect, and more of the internal deal-making processes that the dealership employs moves onto their dealership websites, moves onto the internet, so the salesperson inside the dealership has to become a product specialist. So now you as a consumer, you're going there for the reason you got onto buying the car in the first place, to understand the car, not understand the deal, because most of the pain has been solved on the internet. So I've been able to make my application for finance on the internet. I've been able to get insurance on the internet. I've been able to do a deal with over allowance and under allowance on the internet. I've been able to solve for delivery. I've been able to make an appointment with the dealer. I've been able to get servicing quotes. I've been able to do all of that stuff on the internet. So when I go to the dealership, I actually go there to learn about the car. Salesperson now becomes a product specialist. And when do customers visit the dealership? Even now, right at the end. In the research online, purchase offline world, okay? But we're seeing a change where they visit the dealership at the beginning, research offline, purchase online. Then they go do their research because they've already felt and touched the car anonymously, and then they can come back into the offline world. But traditionally, it's been research online, purchase offline. So they make their shortlist, they go to the dealer right at the end when they've made their decision.
There's an error stage now, because then they start offline, purchase online, and then collect the car offline.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So that's the world we're moving to.
Yeah.
If automotive digital retailing takes hold, where a lot of those processes move onto the internet.
Okay. And the last question you've answered, that the future salesperson will be a product specialist, selling a car instead of trying to force a deal
Yes.
to the customer.
Yes.
How prepared are the manufacturers and dealers for disruption of the internet?
I think they've all sat up and paid attention in the last 24 months. Before that, only a handful. But I think Tesla has highlighted this direct model, and it feels like there's a lot of activity in the OEMs when it comes to thinking about the car buying process for their cars. So how prepared are they? I think ill-prepared, by and large. It doesn't go for one manufacturer. And the reason they're ill-prepared is because they've been at this model for 100 years. It's going to take time to figure this out. I mean, an example is AutoTrader. We were a magazine business.
Yep, I remember that.
We were a magazine business. And up until about 2008, 2009, we were still a magazine business. Facebook started in 2008. And we saw the internet disruption in the future. And it took us 10 years to become a digital business. 10 years. So how prepared were we right at the beginning? Absolutely ill-prepared. If any OEM thinks that they have this buttoned up and sewn up, I can use the AutoTrader example and think back to when we started this journey. It didn't turn out like we had kind of looked into the crystal ball. It didn't turn out, so we were ill-prepared. We went on the journey. The only thing I can say is what we did was we made small changes as we went along. We knew what the path was. We knew what the target was. We wanted to close the magazine. We wanted to become an internet business. So if you know what that is, it's not about shooting for that and making a plan for that. It's about just iterating. Are they prepared for it? No. I would doubt it. Honestly, I mean, I don't know for sure, but I would doubt it.
Yeah, I can vouch for that. I don't think we are. Because I think for us, it's more than just being able to switch on. So the legalities are linked to it. The contracts that we have with the dealer, with the different dealers.
Exactly.
So how do you undo that?
You tie it into the system. The tentacles are that octopus. You try and pull that octopus out, and the legs are going to break.
It's costly.
Yes.
It's costly. Second question: will a visual dealership be a reality in the future?
So an example is Carvana. I don't know if you've heard of the story of Carvana. If you go and Google it, Carvana, Carvana. Carvana is an example of a virtual dealership. It's a vending machine. You can go and buy your car without necessarily interacting with a human. While Carvana is a big business, they're no bigger than any dealer group in America. And they're growing. But there aren't any signs of that business model becoming the prevalent business model for all of the reasons we spoke about, the deal and the mechanics around the deal. So is the virtual dealership a reality? I think part of the way there, and that virtual dealership, the step 2 of virtual dealership is automotive digital retailing. Is it a reality in the future? Of course it's a reality in the future. But I don't think anybody should be thinking about building a virtual dealership right now. You'd be too early, and you know what happens to those that are too early. Ask Napster, ask MySpace, ask who else was too early? BlackBerry. Ask those guys. That is so yes, there's that future, and you can see electric cars of the future, smartphones of the future. But if you're too early, you'll also die. So I think yes, virtual dealerships are a reality in the future. But if we start setting up for it now, you'll become a BlackBerry, you'll become a Napster, you'll become a MySpace.
So the market is not fully ready to
embrace this because of the complexities of the deal.
Yeah.
That's, I think, the reason.
I suppose then that you've answered that earlier, that the traditional brick and mortar showroom will still be applicable.
It'll be the fulfillment center. It'll be the product specialist center. So we won't have Taj Mahals anymore.
Yeah.
So the bricks and mortar stores will turn into a nice coffee shop with experiential type things for consumers that create an experience around the brand of the car and the dealership. But most of the processes will happen on the internet, but that fulfillment will still be there. That's what I think will happen. So the bricks and mortar showroom is still going to be here, just in a different form. Think about it this way. Imagine a car dealership in a shopping center. What would that look like? That's what I think it would be like.
So you're saying that a consumer still wants to
fulfill,
get inside the car, smell the leather, touch and feel the car.
Big purchase, complexity.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, again, we'll go back to the washing machine example. Do you buy a washing machine online and have it delivered?
Other people do.
Some people do, but I don't think it happens by and large. The smaller the consumer good, the more likely you are. So a pair of shoes you'll buy online.
Because those are consumables that
you can return it. You can.
If it doesn't fit, and if you don't like it, wear it once and keep it.
Exactly.
Not to the car.
The car's different. Washing machine's different. Fridge is different.
have manufacturers or dealers taken advantage of the internet to attract consumers to their dealers? What have they done? I know we spoke about platforms that they use to attract customers, the touch point, 21 touch points to touch on from what Google mentioned before consumers buy a car. So have any of the manufacturers, OEMs or dealers really taken advantage?
No. I'll tell you why. I think OEMs are still in this world of traditional, flashy, above-the-line ads. TV ads, billboards, but they're doing two things. One, they're selling the brand, but more so than selling the brand of the car, they're trying to retail. And therein lies the Achilles heel, is they're trying to retail. And you tell me, but don't you think that constantly trying to drive a retail message drives prices through the floor? Because when you drive a retail message, your focused competitive advantage is price. So when your focused competitive advantage is on price, you have to be the lowest price. And when you have to be the lowest price, everyone races to the bottom. So the thing that they're missing, I think, is focused marketing efforts, not focused advertising efforts on the internet, which is solve consumers' problems. Don't try and advertise retail messages. Use platforms to drive the value of the brand rather than a retail message on price. Because of price transparency and commoditization of prices, demand, and supply, price retail messages are going to become something that is not a competitive advantage. Everyone will lose if it's just a price retail message, because everyone will know everyone's on the same price point because of equilibrium having been reached. Why is this person advertising the car at a lower price? Now everyone else has to follow. Well, do they?
It's the value that you need to be pushing.
Exactly. So for me, has there been a shift in focusing marketing activities to digital space to reach new content? No. I think OEMs are still too focused on retail ads on above-the-line channels. TV is way too expensive. And you can't do a retail ad on TV. It doesn't work. People fast forward, they see a retail ad, you said it just now, it becomes wallpaper. I'm not seeing OEMs really use the internet effectively to solve consumer problems yet. Not in South Africa anyway. I'm not even seeing dealers do it, so we're encouraging dealers to do it. So until that snowball starts to occur at scale.
Why do you think that's the case? Why not using it? Why not doing it?
I think they don't know how, to a large degree. Not yet. They don't understand how, and it's not a negative thing. It's just they are car assemblers and car manufacturers. So marketing is not their forte, and I think that's largely the challenge. Is they have to become marketing companies that sell cars and not dealerships or OEMs that have to market cars. There's a subtle difference.